So there was a video, guys, by Doothi called Commentary is Low-Key Bad, Reupload. And then I had made this video, which is a live stream reaction, a couple days after it came out or a day after it came out, basically responding to it. This video went viral because in part it alleges that larger YouTubers essentially pressured her to delete the original video and re-upload it. And my video came out before somebody who was talked about and critiqued in the video made a response to it. Another thing that's talked about, as the title alludes and as the thumbnail kind of alludes, it talks about how slop kind of has manifested a lot in commentary videos on YouTube and how people are kind of tired of it. People are tired of basically watching a 30-minute video that's like the ification of this industrial complex or like overconsumption or like XYZ thing bad, right? People are tired of that, and she's kind of trying to articulate that and why it's happening. And she's quite critical in it, okay? And then in my estimation, I think there are some flaws in how she talks about it, but I also think there are some important points that she makes. Now, one of the people that she primarily talks about is somebody that she doesn't name, but his name is Marc Insco, and particularly one video that Marc Insco has about the Kendall Jenner tank top phenomenon. And then Marc Insco apparently has taken some umbrage with how he was talked about in the video, but also with the video itself. In a video called Doothi Makes Slop 2, it also went by the title Doothi is a Liar, which this is one of the sneaky things about having multiple titles, right, guys? All I'm going to do is basically watch the first couple of minutes because I've already talked about the full Doothi video. And if you want to see my reaction to it, watch that video on the Elliot Sang Again channel. I want to talk about his breakdown of something Doothi says in the video, which is essentially that she was pressured to take her original video down because it was critical of these larger commentary YouTubers in a way that made them uncomfortable and in some way bullied her to take it down. And what I'm going to basically do for you guys is try to break this down as nuanced as possible. So if this feels a little bit slow and deliberate, it's just because I want to get this clear. I also wanted to say that I don't want beef with anybody involved. I'm trying to evaluate this from the perspective of how can we be better at self-critiquing, at making the space better, at being better content creators, at being more educated, at educating others better. Yoshio says, watch the full video. I don't necessarily want to watch the full video just because, again, you'll see that he talks about how most of his videos, his complaints with the original video. Is any of this making sense? Is everybody confused? If everybody's confused, then that's good, then I'm doing my job. I'm going to talk specifically about the drama part of this. So did Doothi get bullied by a group chat? Let's see what he says and what Doothi says.
So no bullshit. I'm just going to get straight to the point. This video is weak. Like really weak. And I'm not just saying that because 20% of the video is criticizing me. That's fine with that. I'm okay with criticism. And also there's a sock puppet version of me.
It's the AI fruits. We're gonna laugh at them and talk about how.
I don't think that this is a puppet of Marc Insco. Maybe I'm wrong. This is specifically talking about a creator who's like, we're going to talk about the AI fruits. And I think it's supposed to be a generic male commentary creator who's reacting to the AI fruit slop. And she specifically has a segment in her video where she critiques two content creators who are larger for reacting to AI fruit slop and basically saying, we're going to watch it so that you don't have to. She says like, this is basically tantamount to just watching it and just supporting the AI content itself. And it's just a reaction video. It's not high effort. And it's getting by kind of pretending to be more high effort. You can take with that of that what you will. I talk about that in my live stream a little bit or my previous video a little bit, but I don't think he's correct here in saying that this is a version of him. Now, the person does appear to be wearing a tank top, so I get why, but I think it's more so of an amalgamation of like different content creators. Whether that matters or not, it's up for you to think.
How bad they are. Take that, AI.
Fair enough, Doothi. I like being made into a Muppet. That's actually kind of cute. But this is not good criticism. As a matter of fact, it's really hypocritical. It's bad faith, and it's predicated on some pretty serious misrepresentations of the facts that led up to this all caps re-upload.
So he's about to say that Doothi has misrepresented what happened to her in her video. So what we're going to see is he's going to show the exact clip of what Doothi says happened that made her take down the original video and upload or re-upload. And then he's going to give you the actuality of what happened. First, when we watch this part again, let's take note of everything that Doothi says.
Starting from the first 3 seconds of this video.
This video was taken down because I learned that large commentary creators had shared my video in their group chat and apparently got very upset about being criticized. As a small creator, this was obviously very intimidating. These people have a lot more money, connections, and followers than I do. I was asked to change my thumbnail. I was even asked by a featured commentary creator to unlist the video at only 3,000 views. I'm re-uploading this video that I spent 8 months on to implore you, the viewer, to watch this and form your own opinion. Was I too harsh, or are commentary YouTubers scared that people are waking up to slop content?
I want to go back just a little bit so I can take a proper note. So she says, large commentary creators shared my video in a group chat and got upset about being criticized. She says that she was intimidated by this. And then she said that she was asked to change her thumbnail and even asked by a featured commentary creator to take the video down. And when I did the initial response to this, I was like, I appreciate that this Doothi character has a fierce critical energy, because sometimes people are very afraid to make these sweeping commentaries, and you can see why, right? You can get hit a lot. I at least want to commend somebody for trying to be like, hey, let's critique this space. Let's critique these commentary creators. Let's demand better. I appreciate that energy, even though I had some misgivings with some of her points. Spacey AC says that's a very loaded closing statement. I'm really not a fan of that. I get that. You essentially see that Doothi is framing this as like, it's kind of almost revolutionary thing. These content creators scared that they're being criticized. I ask you to watch the video yourself. And she talks about rhetoric in the video, so it's ironic, but it's a very rhetorically like rabble-raising kind of talk that she's using to sort of express her frustration with these content creators writ large and what she sees as them making slop content, but also with how her video was apparently treated. Now we're going to get the details. And also, yes, Babilla, this is indeed a critique of a critique of a critique of critiques. Here we go. What does Marc Insco say actually happened?
Okay, so this is a purposeful misrepresentation of the facts, and Doothi knows it. She somewhat clarifies herself in a pinned comment, but leaves in the fact that she was fundamentally scared into compliance by this apparent group chat of rich and powerful commentators.
So big YouTubers, not necessarily using the term rich and powerful commentators, that's not verbatim, but you can see why he's elaborated it in that way. She clarifies in that pinned comment, I don't believe there was any plot to take me down. She's specifically saying, which she said in the opening statement, right? They got upset about being criticized. Those are her words verbatim. And in this comment, she says, big YouTubers were upset in a group chat over a video with 3,000 views. This is, it was going to get more than 3,000 views, Doothi. So I don't think that, the fact that it had 3,000 views was really the problem. And she says that was enough to scare the average small creator into compliance, hence why I hastily took my project down.
The reality is that her original video was a collaboration with another YouTube commentary creator, Saji Sharma.
This is the point of the video where I'm going to pause and say that I love Saji Sharma. Saji Sharma, if you're for some reason watching this must be very uncomfortable for you. This whole situation must have been very uncomfortable for you. I just want you to know, I think Saji is a really nice person, very good content creator. His commentary about racism against Indian people is very strong. He has sharp politics. Love Saji Sharma. Shout out to Saji. Here's what Marc Insco says happened with Saji Sharma. It was a collaboration with Saji Sharma, originally,
who also promoted the video himself on his own YouTube channel and Instagram. Saji, who is a friend of Doothi, is also in a group chat with other commentary creators, some of whom were understandably taken aback by him participating in and promoting a YouTube video thumbnail depicting some of them and or their friends as clown marionettes.
So this is the original thumbnail that Doothi had with the original collaboration with Saji. You see it's Chad, Film Cooper, Curtis Connor, and Jarvis Johnson, all depicted as puppets. Now, I've watched this intro that Marc Insco makes here, and I just want you to pay attention to how he describes this thumbnail and what his feelings were on it.
Their friends as clown marionettes whose strings, I guess, are being pulled by big commentary, with the words "shut up" above. I'm not in that group chat, by the way. I guess I don't have enough juice, to get into the commentary Illuminati, but that's okay. But it's not an Illuminati. It's a group chat of people who are peers and friends.
I don't think Doothi alleged that it was an Illuminati. I just want to say that, because if we're going to pick her words apart, we should also pick your words apart. If we're going to criticize, we're going to criticize, right? So let's be fair. Doothi said specifically, big commentary creators shared my video in a group chat and they got upset. She says about being criticized. She did not say they conspired to take my video down. She clarified that. She didn't say it in the original video, and she clarified that in the pinned comment.
YouTube is a lonely job, and often creators reach out to other creators in order to make friends and just have people to talk to as their coworkers. I don't think that's a scandal. And despite this being a pretty insane thumbnail, not a single creator featured in this video or the thumbnail itself reached out to Doothi or told her to do anything.
She said none of them reached out to her. She didn't say any of them reached out to her. She said specifically she didn't think it was a conspiracy to take her down. So you are misrepresenting Doothi's words so far, because you're suggesting that she was calling them the Illuminati. She said that they conspired to take her video down. You showed us the literal clip, and in the literal clip she's saying they shared it in their group chat. They didn't like it. I was told about it. I was told to unlist my video, to take my video down. So again, like we're misrepresenting somebody while saying that they're misrepresenting something.
In this video or the thumbnail itself reached out to Doothi or told her to do anything. It was Saji himself who got cold feet at how harshly the final product was packaged and asked Doothi to take down the video and remove him from it.
This is very fair and understandable from Saji Sharma's standpoint. You're cool with these people. You did a collaboration with a small creator you like, and then you didn't necessarily know it was going to be packaged as harshly, right? With a thumbnail like that, that's kind of a polemical thumbnail. There's not like ad hominem attacks all that much. There are some ad hominem attacks, okay. But it was an attempt to be like a thorough and nuanced critique, but some of the packaging of it, especially with the title and the thumbnail, left a bad taste in certain creators' mouth, and some of those creators are your friends. So I can understand from Saji's standpoint why he would be like, I don't know, and eventually be like, you know what, take me out of the video and re-upload it because this is kind of making me look, or this is making me uncomfortable, challenging, you know, my relationship with my friends, things like that, you know, whatever he might feel like. I get that from his standpoint. Also, Doothi said specifically, I was asked to change my thumbnail. She didn't say by who, and even asked by a featured commentary creator to unlist the video at 3,000 views. So that is essentially pairing up with what Doothi said. I was asked by a featured content creator to take the video down. This is a bigger content creator,
Which she agreed to do. Saji, again, who is Doothi's friend and collaborator. No other creators reached out to her. She was not pressured by anyone else.
So this is where I think there's also another problem with Marc's commentary. Let's put ourselves in Doothi's perspective. You're making a video. It's a collaboration with a larger content creator, Saji Sharma. This video is about how commentary YouTube needs to be criticized. You spent 8 months on it. You finally put it out. And early on, as it comes out, when it has only a couple thousand views, the larger content creator who you're collaborating with in this video, who's supporting you, says, hey, I don't feel comfortable with the way that this came out with the thumbnail. And people in this group chat, so I'll say it before anybody else says it, but essentially what he's saying is Saji was in this group chat. He tells Doothi, people in this group chat are sharing it. They're not comfortable with it. They don't like it. And it's these big commentary creators. Now, from Doothi's perspective, yeah, you would feel kind of scared. You would feel kind of uncomfortable. And especially when Saji's or whoever else is saying, you know, maybe you should change the thumbnail, maybe you should take it down. I understand that that's a difficult position to be in. So nothing that Marc has said here actually refutes what Doothi's saying. It's literally just a more detailed, more revelatory version of what she presented to us. Do I think Doothi used some rhetoric and some wording to make it a little bit more sensationalist? Yes. And I do think it's fair if you take some umbrage with that, but also, yeah, that is kind of intimidating and it is kind of like a scary thing. And it doesn't mean that Saji did something wrong, but that just doesn't really make sense to me. Was the original thumbnail harsh and gives the initial impression that the content is going to be much less nuanced than what she's actually going for? It's kind of harsh. I don't see it as offensive. I understand everybody has different tastes with this, but if somebody, I dare you guys to try this. I dare you to test this, what I'm about to say. If somebody put a video out that was like, Elliot saying doesn't make good commentary, and put out a thumbnail, and on the thumbnail is me as a puppet or something, I would not want for that video to be taken down. And I'm not saying that those big commentary creators necessarily wanted that, but I certainly wouldn't be offended. I would be like annoyed, maybe. I would be like, what is this person trying to say? Also, this is YouTube, right? Every YouTube channel, every YouTube commentary video, the thumbnail is a slightly exaggerated to heavily exaggerated version of what goes on in the video. It's kind of part of how things go. I do get, though, why it was a little over the top and the imagery is a little bit heavy-handed, but I would be more concerned with, okay, what's the substance of what's being said about me? That's it. This is, I think, close to it, what Zara's saying. Is it unfair to say she was stirring the pot a little bit? No hate or flame to anyone, but the situation does feel a bit messy. Here's what I'm going to say. I do think she was being messy. I do think she's been a bit messy about it, especially if it's true that she's not been like calling people out for like apparently jumping Chad in the comments or something and like, you know, hearting shade towards certain creators or whatever. Messy, sure. But everybody involved in this right now is kind of being messy. And we'll just show, like, you know, jumping ahead a little bit, like, look at some of these comments. right? There's people saying she's taking these big bad creators a lot more seriously than they take themselves, which is not actually addressing what she's actually saying in the video. It's constantly people suggesting that she is against lighthearted videos when she makes specifically clear that she likes a lot of lighthearted and funnier videos. She just thinks that certain content is low effort and slop in a way that is not conducive to something productive. Like, it's not well made, it's not well thought out. I didn't realize we were all enrolled in YouTube University and Mark was supposed to be my professor in my discussion post. This whole argument point that so many people have made, like even in a response to my reaction to Doothy's video, that, oh, she just thinks everything should be a classroom and she thinks everybody has to be so serious and every video has to be so serious. And what if I just enjoy a little slop video? What's wrong with consuming slop? And what's wrong with consuming commentary videos that's lighthearted? She specifically says there's nothing wrong with that in and of itself, but she critiques certain techniques, certain ways of doing that. She thinks some of those things are wrong. Do I think she did it in the best way? No. You can watch my original reaction to the video. But this idea, like, you guys are being so critical and she's the one being messy, which that's not what you were saying, my friend Twitch, but like some of y'all are, oh, she's so messy, she's lying, she's distorting the truth, whatever. You guys didn't even watch the video. You're holding this content creator to this standard that you are not reaching. But Billa says in the chat, you got to be responsible with your platform. Regardless of whether or not your stuff is slop or academic, you still got to think about what you're doing. And Mark's original title saying Doothi is a liar, that's pretty flagrant, especially when your evidence for her being a liar is not there. I'll keep going for a little bit.
Besides, again, some creators venting to each other in a private group chat.
I get that creators should be able to talk with each other about how they feel. We all do that. The fact that this was relayed to Doothi as like, hey, you should probably change what you're doing here, I don't think that that's very fair. If Saji relayed that to her to communicate like, hey, like, I think you might need to change this video, I don't think that that was the best way to handle that, let's say.
Which, if people venting in a private group chat now is akin to intimidation, that's a very dark road to go down. Saji is the sole reason that this video was re-uploaded with a less harsh thumbnail. And his...
this person has been consistently kind of criticizing Doothi in my chat. Why can't he dish out what Doothi served? And it's like, because he's not. Because he said she's a liar, and misrepresenting things. But like, he's not actually proven that. And then making it worse is that this is all being presented to us as like being above the fray. Like, oh, like, I'm above it. This messy video with its misrepresentations, we're above it. And then it's messiness and misrepresentations again. So that's the problem, right? And I criticized Doothi already again. So it's not me being defensive of Doothi, like, oh, like she was correct. You guys are just, mad. I get why there might be some saltiness, but like a lot of you are really going hard on Doothi. And it's because I think you guys felt called out. I think you guys felt like you were a little called out because you felt like your creators that you liked were being represented in a negative way. And so the minute that you saw that this video wasn't perfect and this content creator was maybe not doing this in the best way, you just took all the liberty to basically misrepresent what they were saying, what Doothi was saying.
Asking why Saji's part was removed. On a human level, I think seeing yourself depicted as a clown and being told to shut up in a thumbnail is kind of hurtful, and it's understandable that some creators would complain about that amongst their friends.
I don't like this. This is something that I will say. I don't like this. Don't take this as me being messy, but first of all, it's kind of ironic, all of this, because you are running for Congress in New Jersey. This is a piece that just came out. You are running for Congress in New Jersey, and what you're saying politically is actually stuff that like I respect. I'm from the tri-state area. I respect how politicians talking about like standing up to MAGA and standing up to dark money and talking about cost of living stuff. But with you running for Congress, you should, above anybody in the world, know that sometimes public figures get criticized, and it's not anybody's obligation to word those critiques or to imagify those critiques in a way that doesn't hurt your feelings. This is what I don't understand. I've been bullied in real life. I've been critiqued online. It's not the same thing. That doesn't mean that bullying doesn't happen online and it can't be mean and it can't be messed up. But the point of the video is to critique these content creators. And sometimes critiques involve agitprop and they involve cartoonishness, right? And when you do that, that's understood as, yeah, that's part of how critical art and literary critique can work and how political criticism can work. And so to center people's feelings in this conversation as like, oh, well, can't you understand how a person might be kind of hurt? Can't you understand how somebody might be hurt because their picture was depicted in a way that would upset them? They were told to shut up in a thumbnail. Doing that, I think, is harmful because everybody's grown here, and she is right that a lot of you make a lot of money. So no, Saint Array, you're not getting me. Again, you're being really defensive. I critiqued Doothi's video. I said she got certain things wrong. I didn't like the rhetoric point. I thought that some of her targets were too melded together. Marc Insco is literally saying she lied about what she said in the video. All I am doing is sitting here and saying, no, she basically said what you just said happened. You basically corroborated her points that she was making, and then you were like, she's misrepresenting it. And she lied. You said she lied in the title. And then on top of that, you want to talk about, well, these big creators, you know, they have a right to be a little upset and hurt that they were shown in a way that was kind of mean in a thumbnail and told to shut up in a thumbnail. Okay, your content is being critiqued. Is the critique valid or not? If there was something racially offensive in the thumbnail, if there was something offensive on behalf of a marginalized group in the thumbnail, that'd be one thing. If slurs were used, if vulgarities even were used, whatever. But if I'm looking at somebody and I'm like, I don't like your content, or I think you're worthy of critique, yeah, sometimes I might exaggerate and use silly imagery. Of course, the thumbnail was shady. Of course, there's messiness on Doothi's part. I'm not arguing that. But as a counter, I don't think the thing we should be worried about here is like, oh, did these big creators, like, did they get their feelings hurt? Because the point is, what did she say in the video? Okay, so there's somebody in the comments basically that my executive producer is bringing attention to. Yeah, so somebody in the comments basically said, I'm already politically informed. I'm already class conscious. I don't need every light video about online trends to assume I need to be told about gentrification for the first time every time. And I think that this kind of reveals a problem with how you are thinking about, first of all, Doothi's video and what she said in the video, because again, she didn't say that there's a problem with lighthearted videos. But second of all, there's a problem with the idea that like, oh, I should just be able to turn my brain off. And oh, I'm already politically informed, so I can now put on something lighthearted and it shouldn't be critiqued on behalf of like how lighthearted it is or how it's not high effort enough. The point is not to be politically informed as a static thing. It's not a degree. You don't graduate from a school of I know politics and you hang that up on the wall. The point is to have praxis. The point is to constantly be learning and adjusting to new information. And so if you don't want to live in a world wherein you're encouraging people with large public platforms especially to make content that essentially takes the opportunity to talk about something that could be deep and then throws it away because it wants to be about just jokes. You don't want to give people cover for that. Let people be lighthearted, let people be satirical, let people have fun. But also, if their content isn't well scripted, if their content doesn't, make use of good information, if it mischaracterizes things, if their content doesn't come from a place of being actually politically educated on a particular subject, if it showcases bad praxis in some way, that can still be critiqued, and that's more than okay. And for the 50th time, Doothi is clear. You have to watch the actual video, guys. Doothi is clear that it's one thing for this to be about unserious things. But when you are making light of consuming AI content, AI generated images, and not boycotting it, and then passing that off as like, I'm watching this so you don't have to, that's a fair critique of lighthearted content. When a person is saying, oh, I'm just stretching this out for the runtime, and not adding content that actually adds to what they're saying, but in fact, just padding a video with TikToks that are related to what they're saying, specifically to tell you that they want to extend the runtime, that's worthy of critique. Frankly, I don't really like Doothi's video like that, but I also just think a lot of you are not going to make it. You're not going to make it. This is a new name on my talk show, NGMI. You're not going to make it. Because if you are this upset that somebody said Jarvis Johnson should do better, whether you even agree with the critique or not, to the point where you have to mischaracterize her critique as, oh, she just doesn't think lighthearted videos should exist. You are not as politically informed as you think you are. You are not on the right side of history. You are avoiding a lot of stuff. And I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get dislikes for this, whatever. I'm using that as a cover for people. Whatever, you can say whatever you want. You guys are demonstrating an unfathomable lack of media literacy. I told you, you watched my video and then parrot what I said, because I actually watched the video and quoted her and said things about what she actually said in the video. There's multiple comments on that video and on my video that are like, haven't watched the full thing yet, but I do hate it when people watch the full video. For God's sake, man. It's about 20 minutes into the video where she says, here's a 20 lighthearted commentary videos that I like. I have it listed in my reaction video, the chapter in which it happens. Okay, I will show you the chapter in which it happens, just to prove that point. I haven't watched the whole video yet. Y'all are driving me up a wall. 50-37, comedy has its place. Here's what she says. I'll fix that chapter. It's actually more like 50-15.
There's this ironic, unserious persona around commentary. Kind of makes sense because commentary as a genre is inherently unserious. It was created by Vine comedians. Obviously, not everything needs to be a think piece. Here's some pretty unserious commentary videos I enjoy, but I think the disconnect happens when the lines start to blur from comedic reaction video to a social commentary video essay. Commentary naturally.
What does she have to say for you to understand that her problem is when people are making lighthearted commentary videos out of more serious topics and passing them off as social commentary when they're actually not very high effort, not very well researched, and don't take the subject very seriously? Because then it's like, I'm going to get 50 comments that are like, you're just glazing Doothi. I don't know Doothi. I don't know this person from Adam. I had like 5 critiques of Doothi's video in my video. You guys are just not making sense. Kid Cozy Meg, I can't tell if it's bad faith, nitpicking, misrepresenting, and strawmanning, or if some people are just genuinely not capable of retaining all the info and assessing it all together before commenting. The content environment is the problem. I think Doothi could have probably spoken to this more. But when Doothi talks about, how people just put videos on in the background, when Doothi talks about how videos just sound like social commentary and people just generally like them, even though they're just saying things that are obvious. This is underpinned by a system where none of us are taking ourselves seriously enough. And at the same time, taking ourselves way too seriously. None of us are actually caring about how we spend our time. We're not actually caring about the words being said. And it's just wild to me that somebody of all people, somebody who's running for political office would be like, hey, not every video has to be deep. And like, this person's being kind of mean when they depict famous content creators as puppets in a thumbnail. That's a little incendiary. We're not going to make it. The amount of times that I've seen people be like, the problem with Doothi's video is that she's conflating lighthearted videos with more serious commentary videos. No! She's saying the content creators are conflating their own content. The very first points that she makes in the video, jokes that she makes in the video about people calling their video the blankification of the blank industrial complex. These are political terms. Her critique of Marc Insco's video was, Marc Insco's video is talking about overconsumption, but it doesn't talk about it in any deep way. It just kind of repeats the word overconsumption and makes a couple of jokes and says it's padding out for runtime. That was her critique of your video, bro. And it's like, I believe in you. I know you have critical thinking skills. You seem smart. You seem like a good dude. So I just don't get why we are doing this why can't we just admit I got salty? But if I were to show you the YouTube drama subreddit comments about this, these folks are just mad. And like, what's really funny about this? I'm about to get very deep and I'm going to log off. I'm about to get very deep though, for no reason, but it is deep. Okay. You guys ready? Here we go. When that video came out, I first saw the comments. I saw several comments. The one fan base that watched this video and was like, I'm a fan of this content creator, but I think that this person's making a good point. There are ways in which this content creator doesn't treat their second channel with a lot of effort, and their content can sometimes be low effort. The one fan base was Jarvis Johnson. Because Jarvis Johnson is a very good communicator and very good at presenting himself in ways where he's self-critiquing, to the point where Doothi shows a clip of him sort of self-critiquing on his podcast about the very thing that Doothi is noticing in one of Jarvis Johnson's videos. Jarvis Johnson's fan base saw this video and said, yeah, that's fair. I also sometimes have issues with Jarvis Johnson Gold videos. I also think sometimes Jarvis Johnson does low effort content and I think he could do better on this. And everybody else got mad. And I'm sorry I have to do this, but there's a reason why Jarvis Johnson fans were more cautious about this and more understanding about this. And all the white content creators and their fans weren't. I went there. You could Fine, just throw me in YouTube jail. Throw me in YouTube jail and just swallow the key. This is exactly the shit I was saying in the original video. You guys see a white person who is nice and can string 5 sentences together, and you decide that it is your God-given mission to protect them from any criticism. Critique Doothi's point about rhetoric. Critique Doothi's point about even just not being selective enough with what content she was talking about. I saw somebody who said that she took another content creator out of context when she talked about a specific comment that content creator made that was like overly jumping into like a moral ascribing of something. Fine. There's 50 things to critique about Doothi's video. The fact that you all keep defaulting to this point of, but I watch my content creators because I want to turn my brain off. It means you're salty. You are living in this world where it is clear that white supremacy is having its collapse and having its violent lashing out at everything, and the prices of everything are getting too high, and workers' rights are being destroyed, and the climate is being destroyed, and you just want a white boy to love. You just want to be able to put a white person on in the background and feel normal. You want to feel normal within a system that no longer exists. You want to feel normal according to 2015 rules. You want to turn your brain off and pretend that none of this shit is actually happening. I don't care if this tanks my YouTube career. I am so serious about this. Do you think there's no use case for slop content? I think slop, to be honest, is one of my critiques with the video. I don't like that people are using the term slop. It comes from incels, and it comes from anti-Semitic rhetoric, but that's not a whole other thing. And it also doesn't actually meaningfully describe the problem with the content. Oh, it's slop. It's another problem I didn't even talk about in my last critique of Doothi's video, because I kind of got the point that she was getting at, because I was trying to read her in good faith. Excuse me for trying to read Doothi in good faith, bro, while I critique them. I used the word slop for like a week before I was like, you know what? People are just ascribing this to anything, just like they do with the ification and the industrial complex and the da-da-da-da-da. It's an overused word. It's an overused term. It creates a problem from Doothi in her video because she's like struggling to articulate, which content creators are particularly at fault. Like some of her verbalization issues come from the fact that she's like, and they make slop, and you know what slop is. That's the problem with the commoditization angle. It's like a commodity. It's like easily printed and easily churned out for profit. I didn't like her angle on that because it's like, bro, like obviously this was for profit. That's not really a good definition of what a commodity is. And you're just using this kind of aesthetic of like more of an educational rhetoric to kind of cover up what is ultimately you making the point of like, isn't it like a product that gets commodified and sold? Isn't it soulless? Isn't it just churned through a machine? Which, yeah, I don't think that was a very salient point. AI slop, fine. You should say AI slop, but it's just like, yeah, man. And like Brittany Simon says, like many of us use these creators as examples to have a larger conversation. It isn't always about them specifically. And I will say this too, if it's true that Doothi's fans are going into Chad's comment section and harassing Chad, which Marc Insco raises concern about, Doothi should call that out. Doothi should stomp that out. I think Doothi could do better. But I'm not going to sit around and let you guys say the same generic, misaligned talking point over and over again and depict this person as a liar. Yeah, I agree with that follow, my homies. Yeah, so Chad wasn't really talked about in the video. So it's like, I get it. I personally have a rule where I try not to put anything in my thumbnails that isn't going to show up in my video. Another critique of Doothi's video. There's like 50 of them. But if you can't watch something in good faith, if you can't write down what the person's saying on a piece of paper or in your computer notepad, if you can't watch it from start to finish, you can't properly critique it. And my biggest regret is that Doothi didn't do some of the things I thought Doothi should do with the video, because then it would be even harder and you guys would be even more exposed for this bad faith response. Last point, and then I'm off. It's not a beef thing. People are just allergic to criticism. They're allergic to it. And that's my whole point that I was saying in the previous video about Doothi. People are allergic to criticism. They can't stand it. Their body repels criticism. They think they're going to die if they are criticized. They think they're going to die if people aren't perfectly nice to them. And then at the same time, we want the world to get better, but we don't want to be criticized. We can't even watch something that we like and then criticize it and be like, there's some valid critiques of this, but also, yeah, I mean, 100% I agree with that British idiot. What content creators do y'all think have a bad reaction to this? I'm just going to say, I think Marc Insco's reaction, I don't think he was on point with it. Go do your thing, though. I hope you win Congress, bro, and you seem like a nice guy. I just think your response was off base here. And everybody got so emotional. Instead of just looking at what Doothi was saying and being like, I agree with this, I disagree with this. Everybody got emotional. And you know what? I feel really bad for Saji. I feel really bad for Saji. I feel a little bit bad for everybody involved. I feel bad for Marc Insco. It's not fun to be in a video where somebody's saying like you're making slop. So my final take above everything is I feel bad for everybody in the situation, but also come on, guys. Come on. We're grown. Okay. Thank you. Let's hang out again sometime soon. Maybe next week, Tuesday. Maybe I'll show up again for an extra stream sometime soon. I'm befuddled. Goodbye.